Hi, my name is Luke from Yoda One, and I've been on a mission to discover insights from experts in the mobile gaming industry about how to turn games into successful businesses. So, I reached out to Thomas Kriebernegg. He's the CEO of App Radar, which is, among other things, a keyword optimization tool that allows you to find the best keywords for your app or game. We talked about App Store optimization, ASO, we talked about App Radar, we talked about trends in ASO, and how to get more downloads in your games, some of the basic principles, as well as user acquisition, among other things. So I hope you enjoy the conversation. I hope you get a lot out of it. I found it to be very insightful. Let's get into it. Well, Thomas, thank you so much for doing this interview. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you very much, Luke, for having me. Awesome to be here.
So maybe we could start off by you giving just a little bit of background. Could you talk about how you got into the space and maybe talk a little bit about how App Radar got started as well?
Yeah, sure. So I would consider myself as a full-fledged born marketer. This really comes from during my studies already. I kind of fell in love with the topic of marketing things online on the internet. This was way before Google Ads were a thing, I have to say, back then. But it really got me going that you have this possibility to create something that you can market on the internet to, I would say, everybody out there on the planet. And this was such an interesting thought, and by this interesting thought, kind of my complete career built up on it, so to say. Yeah? So I was going through different kind of positions, marketing different stuff online, so to say, going from very classical B2B car manufacturing, supplying over to more trendy stuff with affiliate marketing, going over to finally also more into the digital space, where it came to the topic of marketing big online brands and websites out there, until kind of apps started to become a thing. And I was something like 2014, I
Hmm.
would say, with the birth of hyper casual in by naming the game Flappy Bird, I would say. So for me, this was also
Iconic.
kind of
Yeah.
my start into the mobile gaming career, because back then reskinning was starting to become a thing, I would say. Maybe it still is today, but on a much higher scale. But yeah, when Flappy Bird came out, this was also my time when I started to switch over to mobile, all in, so to say. In the beginning, I was also developing my own games, pushing them to the App Store, and had soon this problem that I had a portfolio of around 20 games out there within the app stores, and figured out,
Wow.
okay, to optimize and to analyze all these games, that's actually quite a hustle. And not talking about further developing these games. But for me, I then was kind of in the split. What I wanted to do. Do I want to focus more on creating the games itself, or do I want to focus more on the topic of bringing the games to the App Store, making them visible within
Right.
the app stores, and achieving also downloads, installs, and in the end also money with it. And for me personally, it was more this direction, going into marketing games to the App Store, bringing them to the App Store. And this was also, I would say, the birth of App Radar, because back then I also figured out there is so much manual work and processes
Right.
involved, and keyword research and all this stuff, where it's just like was super manual back then. And there I thought, okay, there must be something how we can make this better. And this thought was the birth of App Radar, I'd say, where I then teamed up together with Christian, who is the co-founder of App Radar. And this was something like 5, 6 years ago. And since then, we have been building with App Radar extensive software solution that helps exactly with these problems, how to make my games and also apps visible on the App Store. And yeah,
That's
quite a
yeah,
journey since
that's
then.
that's quite a journey, definitely. So, with App Radar, when you started it, were you thinking along the lines of games? Is games sort of the DNA or of the inception of the idea, or was it from the start, okay, we're going to do all apps. Obviously, that includes games because you were doing games before that. So how much did that? How much is gaming part of the DNA? I guess is what I mean.
Yeah, I'd say, of my personal DNA, it is a very big part. Let's put it like this. I
Yeah.
started playing computer games and video games at the age of 12 and kind of didn't stop since then.
Hmm.
So therefore, for me personally, it's a very big part. I would also say it is a big part of App Radar. But in the beginning of App Radar, there, on the one hand side, like there were my games where some of them were actually quite good performing. Most of them, I also have to be honest here, were not performing because I wasn't a game developer, so to say. And on the other hand side, I was talking with some friends of mine. For example, the CEO of iTranslate, which is the second biggest translation engine on this planet after
Yes.
Google Translate, is a good friend of mine, and he was also starting a bit earlier than me, but also came to me and said, "Hey, you are helping to become more visible on the App Store with your games. That might be also very interesting for my app." And this is kind of where we also teamed up back then, and also was my step into, besides games, also into apps. Yeah,
So it was a sort of natural extension of something you were doing already for yourself that you realize you could productize and make useful
exactly,
for everyone. That's
exactly,
it's
yeah,
interesting
exactly.
how that overlaps quite well with Yoda One's story as well. For example, with Maz, it started as an internal tool and then became a platform service. So that's
Yeah,
interesting. Well,
yeah.
I think it would be good to have a kind of baseline knowledge. So our audience is game developers, mobile game
Mhm.
developers specifically, and some more experienced, some less, some building their first game. So maybe we could just have a baseline of what is ASO,
Mhm.
the the basic definition or a basic explanation.
Yeah, I would kind of split it up into two areas. So the first area is of App Store optimization is identifying relevant good keywords for your game or for your app out there. So it is really about this understanding what are people out there looking for within the app stores that somehow describes what I'm doing here and how can I optimize to be more visible on those specific keywords. So in other words, really about being visible on relevant keywords. And the second part of App Store optimization is that once people see your game out there in the App Store, they also need to get this trigger in their head that tells them, awesome, I want to test this now. I want to play this. I want to download this game now. So therefore, it is about a conversion rate optimization. So in other words, that your store listing is really inviting to the people seeing it that they get this drive. It needs emotion nowadays with so many games and apps on the App Store. So therefore, it is really about this getting this emotion going to convert the traffic that you're getting to your App Store page into actually users that are downloading your app.
So that would be discovery and conversion, basically.
Exactly.
How is it discovered? And then once it's discovered, how do you get people excited enough to actually pull the trigger and download?
Exactly.
Got it.
Exactly.
But then how does that in a bigger picture play with other things that people do to, if they have a game, make a game successful? Because a game developer is thinking about user acquisition, they're thinking about social media, they're thinking about maybe finding an influencer to play their game. If can I get PewDiePie to play my game or something like that?
Yeah.
Where does ASO fit in that bigger picture of really all I want to do is make my game successful?
Yeah, I would say probably kind of thinking of it as some kind of base layer. I would describe it like if you put a website now, once again into the internet, you probably or I don't know anybody who doesn't think about an SEO strategy in the back. Thinking
Right,
of,
sure.
okay, how can I get more visible on Google, so to say. Kind of the similar thing is I see as ASO also for games out there. So it's really this base layer that on the one hand side you have to build up. Because if your app store listing nowadays doesn't like look inviting and doesn't look cool, people will just drop off because there is for sure another cool game also with a cool app store listing just a few clicks away, so to say. Yeah? And so therefore it's this base layer. And how we also describe it over here at AppRadar, and also when we're talking with bigger corporates, because they also ask us very similar questions, why should we care about it? Yeah. And
Right.
there we also say, yeah, in the end, it doesn't matter if you run ads on Facebook, on Snapchat, if you run influencer marketing campaigns, if you run ads on television, even. In the end, all this traffic, all those people out there that you're attracting will be coming to your App Store page. And when this App Store page is shitty, or it just doesn't look inviting, then everything you did before, was, if you wouldn't have done it, so to say, And so therefore, we're also telling them it is really about, making sure that the money that you're also investing out there for ads and all this stuff, you get the best possible return out of it. And therefore, exactly, App Store optimization is the base layer.
That's a great way to describe it. At the very least, what you're doing is trying to bring everyone to a specific page. Well, that's half of the App Store optimization picture, the conversion part.
Exactly.
So yeah. All right. Well, that's great. So do you then, when you're dealing with, let's say, with those bigger clients, do you work with them on, if they have for example, a user acquisition strategy that they're implementing, does that change the way that ASO is done, or is it pretty independent as a thing a strategy to develop?
Yeah, where we see the best results is really where this is not divided, but really integrated into each other. So if the ASO strategy is part of the complete user acquisition strategy, this is really kind of the best thing, so to say, that can happen. Yeah, because the thing is, App Store optimization on its base level, I would say, it is really about how big is your game or is your app already in terms of how many downloads does it get on a daily basis. Mm-hmm. In other words, if you think of the really big games out there, I don't know, like kind of every title from Supercell, for example, and they're getting tons of downloads a day, and this also enables them to rank on very competitive keywords, like for example multiplayer game or something like that, where really a lot of people are searching for something like that within the App Store. On the other hand side, if you're an indie game developer, indie game studio, for example, and you're pushing with limited budget games to the App Store, there it will be super hard to compete on keywords like multiplayer game, for example, because simply all those apps ranking for this keyword will be having so much more downloads than you have, because they're also investing way more money into paid user acquisition, So right. Therefore, it is really about how do you combine this, and I would say the ASO strategy itself, baseline, but it is also dependent on how much budget you have, Once again, if you have millions to spend for your user acquisition, then you can go for the most competitive keywords out there that you can find probably. If you only have a couple of bucks, then it's probably not the best idea to go for the most competitive keywords.
Right. But for the actual conversion part, would that be something like, we've updated the game, it's a seasonal update, and then we update the actual page in the store to match that? We'll maybe update the videos and the icon to match the promotions that we're doing for the seasonal update? Would that be something like, yeah?
Yeah, exactly. So, this is already a very good advanced point, I would say. And this is also something that Apple as well as Google are pushing now with these live events and all this stuff, coming now more with iOS 15, for example, on the Apple side. This is already where you are already in this, okay, there's new content, I want to push it to my audience out there, I want to show also the App Store, hey, this game, there's new content going on, go check it out, So this is already, I would say, a very far advanced strategy, and a really good strategy, because, as mentioned, Apple and Google both love new content, right. And so that they can also bring more traffic to exactly those games that can deliver this. On the other way, the App Store listing itself and also the conversion of it, I think here kind of the first baseline is really to, it's hard to exactly say, but it needs to look good, it needs to look professional, If your App Store listing looks like, a student created an app, on the site or on the weekend or whatever, and just made, the fastest screenshots that he could think of and put it into the App Store, this might have worked 10 years ago, and it might have worked very good also probably 10 years ago. But like nowadays, there is so much effort being brought into making a good attractive app store listing. So it's more like already kind of advertising. It's not just
Yeah.
this is my stuff. You have to sell it in the end of the day. Yeah?
The advantage being that you do that and you're not spending a lot of money, if any, if you have the skills to put that together, to update that stuff and make it look professional, right? It seems
Yeah.
like an obvious point, but if you actually go into the App Store and look around, you realize that it's not that obvious,
Exactly.
actually.
Exactly.
Okay, so let's just sort of say hypothetically, I've got a game I'm ready to release. Let's say it's my first game. Okay, I want to make sure
Mhm.
I have the basic ASO fundamentals in place. Maybe we could do a simple checklist. What stuff is
Mhm.
on the checklist?
Mhm. Yeah, I would say starting from the visual points. So first of all, your app icon. Yeah, there are various case studies out there. What the app icon should contain to drive more conversion. Just if you think once again. Supercell with Clash of Clans, for example, there is a reason why the app icon looks exactly the way like it looks like. There have been probably thousands, when maybe even 10,000s of tests in the background to exactly come to this point to figure out, okay, the screaming guy, that is the best, like converting app icon, so to say. So therefore, app icon, first point. Second point is, I would say, I mean, on the same level, the title of the game as well as the subtitle. This is also, like where people will scroll over it to get an understanding. Okay, what is this about? Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
kind of probably a good idea to have a look at our different idle games out there. So, for example, if you check out Idle Miner Tycoon from Cordy Games or something like that, where you read the title and you have already in your head, okay, that's a game about mining stuff, and it's an idle game. Yeah, so it's bringing this. I would say matching the expectations of the user so that they understand, okay, that's actually what I'm looking for. Cool, I'm going to check it out. So
Right.
therefore, I would say that on the second level, but I would say also on the second level, screenshots, they're especially, like the first ones, probably also for games, taking one step further, the app preview video. There also, once again, you can also define a thumbnail that is shown as the still image, so to say, until the video starts playing. So therefore, also this thumbnail is really, really important that you also test this out and just be sure that it's not just a black screen or something like that, because this is really where people, first checking out, okay, app icon looks interesting. Okay, the title, the name kind of makes sense. This might be a game that I want to check out. And then the eye goes further down. Okay, this video also looks really cool. I want to check out this game. Yeah.
So it's sort of like a
Um,
waterfall of attention,
yeah,
essentially.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Interesting. So let's say that I want to do what Clash of Clans does and I want to learn from them. I see their icon and I say, I would like to uh, capture the principles behind this without copying
Mhm.
it. Is that something worth trying to do if I don't have the budget to A/B test 10,000 different icons? Is there a line between copying one of the big guys and learning something from the big guys? Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, I would say, generally speaking, especially once again for indie studios, yeah, I would not recommend that you should make all these learnings on yourself, yeah, because you will be losing a lot of money along the way. And so, therefore, it is a good trick, so to say, to have a look at the bigger ones and try to reverse engineer, yeah. I wouldn't say now go there, download the app icon of Clash of Clans, make it instead of I don't know, yellow, red, and that's it. I would really
That
go
would be a
for
lawsuit, I believe.
yeah, exactly. That could tend to lead to problems. Yeah, but you can check it out. Yeah, and then you can like start of thinking. Okay, what do I see on this app icon? I mean, same applies also for screenshots. Yeah, what do I see on the screenshot? Okay, I see actual gameplay. Okay, I see there a clan overview or something like that. Okay, I see there is actually a battle going on. So something needs to be in motion. There is something, okay, competitiveness and triggering some senses there on this end. And then I also see, okay, the bigger games, most of them also have this overlap where they describe overlay where they describe the feature or what is the main benefit or what makes it unique or why is it awesome or something like that. Yeah. When you go with this mindset to it, to really check it out, try to reverse engineer, you don't need, study anything for that. It's just, I would say, using your brain, trying to reverse engineer, trying to, okay, that might be what they are trying to do here.
Right.
And when you incorporate these ideas, you can also use them for yourself. And if you're not, stupidly copy and pasting the stuff, then you can also come up with quite unique, cool concepts already aligned on very proven tactics.
Yeah, that's a cool idea. So you could look at the top 5 icons from a specific genre if you're in that genre, and then ask yourself, what characteristics do they share that I can sort of extract and reverse engineer for mine?
Exactly.
Yeah,
That's the point.
cool.
Yeah?
Well, maybe we could talk a little bit about user acquisition, just because it's something that a lot of small developers think about. Should I be doing user acquisition? And I know that's not so much AppRadar's thing, but just as something that's close to it, ASO and user acquisition, sometimes the line gets blurred between these two, at least in the mind of someone who's thinking about how to get more downloads. Should someone in a small studio be thinking about user acquisition, or should they just focus on getting downloads, just focus on ASO, in your opinion?
Yeah. If you would have asked me the question 5 years ago, my answer would have been different than it is nowadays. Yeah. Nowadays, I have to say, without user acquisition, it's really, really, really tough. It's so because the reasons in the background. Yeah. Let's name the facts. We're talking about more than 5 million apps on the App Store. The golden age of everybody's going into the App Store and everybody's downloading every app that is there because it's there and it's something new and they want to check it out. I think this is also over in most of the countries on this planet, at least. Let's put it like this. So therefore, just putting your app into the App Store, and also as mentioned, App Store optimization itself, you need to have a specific daily cap of downloads, or there needs to be something going on. Yeah, if you only have 2 downloads or 3 downloads a day, you will be having a very, very tough time to rank for any relevant keywords for your game out there. So therefore, nowadays the answer is, especially if you're launching a new game, it will be very, very tough without user acquisition. So therefore, my recommendation would really be to already think of it as a part of your bigger strategy, which also means, it will cost money. That's part of the game, yeah. But you're also investing money to develop the game, or you're investing time, which also translates into money in some kind of way. But I think this is really important nowadays, yeah, to think of this, yeah. Otherwise, it will be really hard, yeah.
Yeah, that's good advice. That it's a constantly shifting landscape, and I do have a question about that as well that I want to get to. But first, I want to ask you a little bit about specifically AppRadar. Could you talk a little bit about how the keyword tool works, or what's unique about it?
Mm-hmm. So once again, coming from the very practical approach, so to say, of AppRadar, because on the one hand side, we are, as AppRadar, having our own tool, our own software, and on the other hand side, we're having a services department where we do actually App Store optimization for our clients out there, which in other words translates into we are the power users of our tool in some kind of way, which also means it is very much in our interest to make it as process aligned and as efficient as possible.
Right.
And I think that this is I would say really the DNA, the core of AppRadar, to have something that really helps you out there. Yeah. This translates now into for you guys also watching this show now. You can move over to appradar.com. You can create a free account there. Sign up, can link your app to it. We're supporting Apple App Store as well as the Google Play Store. And one of the things that AppRadar then already will start doing is our AI in the background tries to identify competitors of yours, as well as tries to identify relevant keywords for your game out there. Also, checking what are the competitors using and stuff. So there comes this intelligence together, so to say. And by doing so, you can sign up. You get, first of all, a good understanding, okay, what are keywords that people are searching out there in the App Store? And that not only in English, but we're supporting, I think, 80 languages or something like that. So, for really a broad set of different languages, as well as markets that are in the background. And AppRadar can also, or gives you information, how are you already ranking for this very specific keywords. So, also here in the background, it's, App Store optimization in terms of keyword rankings, once again, is very similar to search engine optimization with Google, which in other words means if you rank on page number 2 of Google, you're probably, you're not existing, so to say,
Right.
because
Yeah.
only a few people will get there. Similar if you rank on the App Store on a position number 40 or something like that, it's nice, but, nobody will scroll down there, or, maybe only a handful of people, depending on the keyword. Yeah. So there it's also, getting a top position. So I would say you should aim for a top 10 position on specific keywords, probably top 3 if you really want to get downloads out of it. And also there, top 1 normally gets the lion's share. Yeah. I think that's very classically mathematics in some kind of way out there. Yeah.
Is it safe to say that intuition is kind of dead in terms of App Store optimization and finding the right keywords, that the market is simply too big for intuition to be a valid way of choosing keywords?
Yes, completely. Yes.
Makes sense.
I think that is a really, really important one. Yeah, that you brought up. Yeah.
The human brain is not capable of
Yeah.
stepping back that far. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it will also help in the process, yeah, because kind of coming back to the flow, so to say, when you connect your apps with AppRadar, kind of what you want to do is you want to build up keywords that are relevant. AppRadar on the one hand side gives you suggestions for that. You can also check out for which keywords are my competitors ranking, and you can obviously also come up with own ideas, yeah. If you're building a game, I don't know, a Viking multiplayer game or something like that, then, it's already a good keyword. Therefore, you can also obviously bring in your own ideas. But the truth is they will only take a small percentage of the complete set of keywords in the end of the day that you want to, at least try to think of and build up. And then next step, optimize your game to rank for those keywords as well. Yeah.
When you're thinking of your own keywords, maybe, but without a way to test those keywords, then you're kind of just wandering around in the dark, right? So
yeah.
What about trends happening right now in ASO? Obviously, you're deep in it. So what are the trends happening now, or what things are changing now? How quickly do things change in the ASO space?
Yeah, I would say, there are some macro trends happening, but generally speaking, also, taking a step back, I would say the topic itself is not that different like it was 5 years ago. Yeah. So in the end, it's still, you want to try to identify the best keywords for your game out there. You want to come up with very good creatives and visuals around it. So, it's the same like it was back and now like it is nowadays. I think a bit of the macro trends that are coming in is the way how you can do it. Yeah? There is especially, I think, with Apple search ads on the one hand side, you have the possibility to also run ads on specific keywords within the App Store. I mean, it's also not something completely new, that's also there since I think 2.5 years now. But also not everybody is using it, so it might be also still a good chance, depending, on your competitive situation, if your competitors already figured it out or not. But generally speaking, this is with Apple Search Ads, you have a tool where you can say, okay, I want to rank on this very specific keyword, and it more or less doesn't matter how big is your game or your app already. It kind of matters, how much are you willing to pay to rank on this specific keyword, so to say. So therefore, this is also, I would say, a very good tactic in the end of the day to try out different keywords because, as mentioned, we're building up, we tend to say keyword backlog to it. So you're coming up with, let's say, 150 English keywords that might be good to describe your game, that might be good in terms of, okay, that could actually people looking for within the App Store. And when they search for a keyword like this, our game might be a good fit for them. Yeah?
Right.
And then you can take those keywords and smash them into the Apple Search Ads. And then you just, let them run. And with the help of Apple Search Ads, you can also identify the conversion rates on the specific keywords, which will also give you better feedback, like in terms, okay, people that are searching for, I don't know, Vikings multiplayer game and finding our game are, actually super happy. There's a good conversion rate. They're also downloading it, compared if they're searching for medieval multiplayer game. They're not converting that much because medieval, they have probably expecting some knights or something like that.
Right.
So there are, this stuff happening in the background. And yeah, as mentioned, I think Apple Search Ads is a really good way here, that you can utilize for this. Yeah.
But you could chalk that down to something like having an R&D budget, really. It's kind of like setting aside money and thinking of it not as, all right, let's figure out what our keywords are and then move on to other things, but let's have a running R&D budget, because that's important, because if we catch things early, then
Yeah.
that can give us a huge advantage.
Totally, totally. Yeah. I think, especially in this regards of using, on the one hand side, keyword research, but also on the other hand side, checking out the top charts on a very regular basis. This can be really something that can help you also identifying trends before others. So this might be also very good, as you mentioned, R&D tactics in the end of the day. Yeah.
Yeah, that's very, very insightful. So last question I have for you is, personally, what are you most excited about working on now? What new stuff are you doing, and what are you personally most excited about?
Yeah, really good question. Yeah, I'd say for me personally, App Radar obviously is something that I'm very passionate about, and also looking back, we started 6 years ago with 2 people. Now we're a little bit more than 40 people. So
Great.
like there's obviously a lot of stuff to do, which is also good for us. Yeah, so that's really nice. For me personally, kind of reflecting, like a little bit what I see. Uh, I don't know, we can call it probably karma, but for me, it's now,
Yeah.
changing sides, because like back then when I was the teenager, like I was spending a lot of money on games to different gaming studios out there. And luckily, some of them are now customer of us, so they are giving back some money. So I don't know, like that's some kind of karma, and I kind of, like really like. I have to say that's really something that I'm really proud of in the end of the day as well. Yeah.
That's great. That's a very interesting way of looking at it as well. There's a universal balance sheet.
Yeah.
Well, I hope you've crossed the line so far of what you spent when you were a teenager long ago. Well, I really appreciate you taking the time to share your insights about ASO and App Radar. It's great to learn about it, and I think our audience will appreciate that as well. Is there anything else you want to add or say or mention?
Yeah, maybe just some last words here. If somebody from the audience is now more interested in learning more about App Store optimization and how to get started, I would like to recommend, so to say, check out appradar.com. We have an academy there where we can really learn from beginner over to very advanced, over to really expert tactics. We're sharing a lot of information there on our academy, on our website. And as well, if you're more into video stuff, you can also check out our YouTube channel, where we're also pushing a lot of content around this topic, educational topic, to help you guys accelerate more in this topic of App Store optimization.
Yeah, I was gonna say the same thing. And Thomas, you do a lot of the videos yourself, so check out App Radar and the YouTube channel, because the YouTube channel is really good. Well,
Thanks.
thank you so much. I really appreciate your time, and I hope to talk to you again.
Yeah, likewise. Thank you very much, Luke.